宇宙世紀101年、人類は今かつてない危機に瀕していた。それは遥か闇の彼方より現れた無の魔王マンドラーの太陽系侵攻によって始まった。マンドラーの軍勢は瞬く間に星々を支配し、月面に要塞を築き上げて地球侵略を開始。人類は総力を挙げて多段ドッキング強化ロケット CR47 を開発。月面奪回組織ムーンクレスタを結成してこの脅威に立ち向かった。だが前線らしくマンドラーの無の魔力の前に人類の希望は崩れ去り、ついに地球は魔王の手に落ちてしまう。地上を奪われた人々はかろうじて海底の秘密基地へと逃げ延びるが、そこでただ手をこまねいてはいなかった。わずかに残された戦力を集めて地球奪回組織テラクレスタを結成。海底基地より合体型戦闘攻撃機ウィングギャリバーを発進させ、マンドラーへの逆襲に打って出たのだ。死闘は熾烈を極め、一進一退を繰り返した。一時はマンドラー軍を撃破したかに見えたが、無の魔力で生きながらえたマンドラーは新たに宇宙暗黒組織ゾハーを率い、再び地球へ来襲。人類は残された全兵力を傾けてこれを退けるが、無限に押し寄せる侵略軍の前にやがてそれが終わらない戦いであることを知る。そして壮絶な戦いの果てに待っていたのは人類の壊滅的敗北だった。さらなる大軍勢で現れた侵略軍メガゾファーはついに太陽を手中に収め、もはや人類は太陽系の遥か外縁海王星第12衛星ラオウメデリアに逃れるしかなかった。奮戦の灯火となった人類は最後の望みをかけて太陽奪回組織ソルクレスタを結成し、最新鋭合体型戦闘攻撃機ヤマトの開発を急いでいた。そして今まさにその人類最後の砦にメガゾファーの魔の手が伸びようとしていた。
Data link. PG engine number 1, 2 on, number 3, 4 off, number 5, 6, 7, 8 on. Confirmed. Yamato, interim recorder on. Permission to sortie? Permission granted. Good luck, Yamato.
Welcome on in, y'all, to Sol Cresta. Now, real quick, I did loop the game into the hard difficulty, so that's what you'll be seeing right now. And before I get into any story elements regarding this installment, let me just first go over how the game works, because there is a lot to cover. So, first of all, you start out with one ship. You can collect others, though, and I just lost one, now I got another one. But yes, there are 3 different ships that you can be in control of. Unit 1, which is red, Unit 2, which is blue, and Unit 3, which is yellow. Now, the thing that I collected a couple seconds ago, that is a medal. Now, the medals are in regards to different formation attacks that you can perform. There are 5 in total. There's a green medal, blue, yellow, purple, and orange. And what you just saw there is one of the main gimmicks of this game, where you can change the order of your ships at any time. There is a cooldown, you have 10 seconds to do so, which really is more than enough time. Of course, though, if you're still in the middle of drawing a formation out, by the time the 10 seconds is up, you're automatically kicked out of it. Yes, Unit 1, red, shoots out a wide laser shot. Unit 2 shoots out homing missiles, and Unit 3 shoots out drills. And what you're seeing right now is the Cyclone formation. That is the blue formation that you get. Those hoops are color-coded, so naturally, if you want the extra bonus points from it, as well as extra coins, go through the hoop with the correct colored ship. If you don't, you'll get 100 points, but that's it. There are secret bonuses all over the place in this game. I still don't even know how I get them. This game also has shields, which is very, very nice. Because without it, I don't think I would ever be able to beat this game. Now, the coins You want to collect those because if you look at the right side of the screen, that is the soul gauge, and that fills up every time you collect coins. And you want to do that because as you fill up the soul gauge, you have access to extra bonus points. You can get extra soul emblems to collect fighters if necessary. If not, they will instead turn into shield icons. And then, more importantly, you can get access to command shots. Now, there are 3 different types of command shots. There's the machine gun shot, which is done by pressing down and up, or up and down quickly, and then the shot button afterward. That will send off a quick volley of shots either in front of you or behind you. The next command shot is side shot, which is you do the Hadoken command, either left or right, and then press the shot button. You'll shoot a volley of shots to your left or right. And then the third is a burst shot, which is you do a 360 motion with the control stick, hit the shot button, and then you'll do a quick burst of shots all around you. Now this right here is the beam formation. That corresponds with the yellow metal. It's pretty situational. I don't use it very often, but right there, that helped out a lot. Another thing that you get more access to through the soul gauge, okay, this is the sweep formation, that's the purple metal. But yes, as you fill up the soul gauge, you also get access to more bars for your F gauge. The F gauge is on the left side of the screen, and that corresponds with your formation attacks. So every time you use a formation attack, it uses up 3 bars of an F gauge. Another attack that uses up, I believe, 1 bar of the F gauge is a charge attack. This right here is the moon formation, that's the orange metal. Very useful since it hits in front and behind you, and it has a wide crescent shot. And with the beam formation, as you can see, you can either shoot it at a downward angle or an upward angle, depending on how you draw out the formation. But the charge attacks, that whichever attack you get is dependent on which ship is in the center. So if the red ship is in the center, you can charge up and use a mega laser. If the blue ship is in the center, you will charge up and use full burst, which shoots out 8 missiles. And if yellow is in the center, you can use the Giga Drill. Yeah, now we got our first boss, which really isn't that difficult to deal with. And by the way, because there are, I don't think I said this before, there are 5 medals to collect. This is Delta formation. So you've seen the 5 main medals, but when you get the 5, you get access to a 6th and final formation, which is Phoenix formation right here, which is clearly the best one, because you're completely invincible, and all you have to do is just make contact with the enemy, they sustain damage, and that's it. But again, if you want that Phoenix formation, make sure you get the other 5 first, because otherwise there's no other way to get access to it. And after you beat each boss, you have these Vycoons that you have to destroy. Why the Vycoons are there, I will explain later on. But we've cleared Neptune. So yes, as you can see, this is a pretty chaotic game, but it's a fun one. And next we're going to Uranus. Get all the jokes out of your system now. So again, these missiles have homing capabilities. It's pretty reliable overall. There will be some times you'll shoot missiles out and they will just nearly miss the enemy, but for the most part, you can rely on them making contact. The other good thing about the missiles is that when they do make contact with an enemy, they leave behind an electrical attack, which helps add extra damage. And those black orbs that were flying around, those are particularly susceptible to missile damage. So it's good to use the missiles on them. And to that point, there are various enemies and obstacles that, of course, are weak to particular weapons. I was kind of losing control right there. Now, when it comes to these formation attacks, there's a couple things to keep in mind. So, as you can see, some of those ships can go through things. So any ships that have the same color aura around them that corresponds with that formation, they're completely invulnerable. So you can take advantage of that. Plus the line that links them all together, you can use that line to help absorb and block shots. And you want to do that because the ship that was in the lead that initiated the formation, that one is vulnerable during a formation attack. And you always know how to keep track of that with the ship that has a reticle around it. So always keep an eye on that ship so that you can still be effective with your attack, but also not go too crazy with it that you end up sustaining a whole bunch of damage. Of course, if you have shields on, you can take a hit or two, be okay. Okay, right here we have a rival ship known as the Trimurti, and it's piloted by a character named Dita. This particular unit that he is piloting is called Brahma. Outside of these general projectiles, it imitates Unit 1 with a laser. These purple orbs that are flying around, though, those you cannot block at all. You have to avoid them. Now, even if you lose one ship and you only have two, as you can see, you still can have access to 3 weaker formation attacks. Now, playing on hard mode right now, almost every single enemy that you destroy will shoot out a projectile at you. So that, of course, is one thing that makes this difficulty a bitch. Playing on normal or lower, you don't have to worry about that. Okay, now we have a transparent looking ship that's helping us. The bullets that it shoots out actually can block projectiles, which is really nice. So while this ship is helping you out, if you can position it right, and I fucked up. If you can position it right, you can help block some bullets and keep yourself safe for a little bit. Yeah, I was kind of losing control in this stage, not gonna lie. Because I ended up losing more lives than I normally do in this stage. Here we got boss number 2. The Daibo. And once again, the Phoenix formation comes in clutch. There we go. And destroy Vaikun number 2. Alright. We cleared Uranus. Giggity. Now on to Saturn. Of course, with these boulders, you want to use the drill to destroy those, because the other two weapons will not work. Those orbs with the F on them, those are good to shoot, because when you shoot them, if any of your F gauge bars are not full, shooting those F orbs will give you more energy for those. And if you hit them with a formation attack, you'll fully destroy it, but you'll get 10,000 points out of it. So now that we've covered all the basics of this game, let's get into some backstory, some history. So this whole series, the Cresta series, has been around now for 45 years, because this started out with Moon Cresta, Moon Cresta back in 1980, developed by Nichibutsu, which I believe is defunct. This game in particular, though, is developed by Platinum Games. Now, anyone who knows Platinum Games, you should not really be surprised at the chaotic nature of this game, because for those that are not familiar with Platinum Games, they are known for making their games very action-packed and very wild. That's their thing, and that's part of why I love them. Because the last thing that they would ever do with their games is make it basic. So, whether the game is good or bad, you're going to have a lot to do in the game. And I learned that from playing Beautiful Joe. Well, Beautiful Joe is a technicality because that was done by Clover Studios, but various employees from Clover Studios, after they were shut down, they formed Platinum Games. Because Hideki Kamiya, who was the director and leader of Platinum Games, he no longer is. He was originally from Clover Studios, which was attached to Capcom. But yeah, more so, The Wonderful 101 and Bayonetta, I learned from those two games in particular how Platinum Games can be. Now, the Trimurti is back, but this time it has a second unit on it, which is Vishnu, and this one imitates our unit number 2 with missiles. Now, while I mentioned that the Trimurti is piloted by a character named Dita, he really only pilots Brahma, but he's able to telekinetically control the other units. And how does he do that? I don't know. Now, it may... Because here's another thing. We're playing in arcade mode right now. There is a dramatic mode, which was released as DLC. Playing this game in dramatic mode is similar to arcade mode here. However, there is dialogue that goes on while you play. And it helps flesh out the story of what's going on. I did consider playing that for this showcase, but because just playing this mode takes long enough, playing it in dramatic mode takes even longer because of all the dialogue. Because there are times where there is not much to shoot at all, because there are moments of dialogue that are essentially cutscenes, basically. Like, you can still move the ship around, but it focuses so much on the dialogue that not much is happening, and it takes a lot longer. So I decided to just do arcade mode and give you guys some story points this way. But the red ship is piloted by Sho Tendo, the main protagonist of this game. The blue ship is piloted by a girl named Luna. And then the yellow ship is controlled by another guy named Drill. And their ships all together are known as the Yamato. But yes, again, this all started with Moon Cresta, then came Terra Cresta, Terra Cresta 2, Terra Cresta 3D, which was a Japanese-only release for the Sega Saturn, and then we have this fifth and final installment, Sol Cresta. And I say final because from what I've read, they do claim this to be the final one. If something happens though and the sixth one is made, I will not be mad. And I stumbled upon this game by accident, honestly. I'm playing the Switch version. This is also available on PlayStation as well as Windows. But yeah, I either in the year of 2022 when this was released, or the following year, I stumbled upon it on the Nintendo eShop, noticed that it is a shmup and that it was developed by Platinum Games, so immediately I was very intrigued. Because to my knowledge, I don't believe that Platinum Games has ever developed a shoot 'em up before, so I had to see what this was all about. And I thought that it was just a brand new IP at the time. But then I ended up learning that this has been an ongoing series since 1980. Alright, this boss is pretty similar to the very first one, but there are some different enemy projectile types. And in the second upcoming phase, boulders are added into the mix. Of course, though, if you beat it quick enough, you won't really have to deal with the boulders for too long. Now, while I did mention earlier how the drills are only effective against the boulders, if you're using a formation attack, that will still work too. And that goes along with any other stage element or enemy that is color-coded. Phoenix for the win yet again. Bam. And now let's get rid of Baikun number 3. Huzzah! Saturn clear. For stage 4, we are approaching Mars. And I didn't mention it before, but as you can see, if there is a particular formation you want to start out with, or, you know, in general, just making sure you get all 5, you can shoot them to flip them around to make sure that you get the one that you need. I usually like to start out with the Cyclone formation because I love the coverage on it, and because you're all in a straight vertical line, it just helps, at least for me, keep things consistent. Now this stage right here caters very well to Red Unit number 1 because the red lasers are strong against icy materials. Okay, we got this transparent ship helping us again. Who the hell is this? one other factoid I should mention. Mission? Wow. Mention, for the record, y'all, it is almost 1 o'clock in the morning at the time of recording this, so yeah. I don't know how to speak English half the time. But anyway, one thing I should mention is the shields. So, when you play this on normal difficulty or lower, it is possible to increase the amount of shields that you can have. I've been able to increase my shield stock up to 6. However, here in hard mode, you're just stuck with 3. That's it. Because again, you normally would increase your shield stock by filling up your soul gauge. But here, doesn't work. That was easy. Yikes. I mean, playing this game on hard mode is essentially a whole damned if I do, damned if I don't situation, because you gotta get coins by killing all the enemies, but when you kill the enemies, they shoot bullets at you automatically, so it's just madness from start to finish. But hey, that's how I love my shmups. Most of the time. Yeah, I lost the red ship. I need it back. There we go. Another random secret bonus. Now those bulbs that I've been destroying where you saw that bluish line of energy, that actually won't hurt you if you touch it, but what it does do though, it prevents you from attacking for a couple seconds. So if you have to go through it while it's active, it's okay. You just gotta remember you can't shoot for a little bit. Now while I was playing this, I forgot about that, because I was freaking out. I was like, oh shit, I can't go through there. But then when I played it again later on, I was like, oh, okay. And once again, we got the Tri-Murti, but this time unit number 3 has appeared. This one is Shiva, and it imitates our unit 3 with the drill attacks. Now, unlike most other projectiles in this game from enemies, the drills you just have to avoid. There's no way to neutralize those. Now here with the Phoenix, I'm primarily using it for defensive purposes, because when you go against the Tri-Murti, you would think that it's a good idea to use formations for the attacks, which it is, but the thing is, after it sustains a certain amount of damage, it goes into that phase that you just saw where they break apart and they do their dash moves at you, and all throughout that, they can't get hurt. So you can end up wasting time as well as F-bars by having formations active. So going against the Tri-Murtis, you want to be choosy on formation usage. Now we're going to Terra. And I have a theory, because if you noticed, that little introductory theme was different compared to all the stages that we have just done. It's the only stage in this game that has that theme. So I'm thinking that that is at least a recreation of the stage introductory theme from Terra Cresta. I could be wrong about that. I honestly have no idea, but because we're in Terra, and Terra Cresta came before this, that's my theory and I'm sticking to it. But by the time this event goes live, I will have looked at it, or at least try to find out information about that, and I'll be able to confirm like if that's true or not. But that's what I'm thinking, since that's the only time we hear that theme. Yeah, as you just saw, dinosaurs are still alive here for some reason. And in moments like these, where you gotta open some type of a shutter, you can, in a way, use a formation attack, but sometimes you're better off just using your standard attacks. Now these obstacles right here, we saw those in stage 2, and they look like you can't destroy them, but formation attacks will decimate those. But yeah, when you have to open up some type of a shutter, the one that we were interacting with just then, that kind of looked like a fan, any shot, any standard attack will do. There are others, though, that are color-coded. Now, typically, if you come across shutters that require a particular weapon to open, it's usually because there's an item, like an item canister or something there. It's never a case of, oh, if you want to progress forward, you must have this color. Too bad for you. And that enemy ship at the top, that's actually a dark version of a previous playable ship. I believe, just looking at it, it's a dark version of the playable ship from the very first game, Moon Cresta. I only know what that ship looks like just from seeing screenshots, because again, I have not played any of the previous Cresta games before this. That ship right, those two ships I just destroyed, I believe also are from a previous Cresta game. And once again, we have Transparent Ship helping us, and I think it's about that time I tell you about that ship. So, this ship is actually the spirit of Noboru Tendo, which is the father of Sho Tendo, the pilot of the red ship. Now, I'm going to screw details up here because this is all properly explained throughout dramatic mode. It's been a while since I played that, so I know that there's some things I'm not going to be properly explaining right now, but basically, from what I remember, Sho is in possession of the Sol Cresta gem, and that Sho and Noboru have a link through that. So since he's holding on to the Sol Cresta gem, somehow he's able to kind of be here right now. But yeah, that's who that is. And that ship is the Wing Gallibur from one of the Terra Cresta games. I'm not sure if it was only in the first one, or the second one, or both, as well as 3D. But yeah. He comes in to help us every now and then. That will be the last time he helps us. This thing right here is Shadow Mandler. So if you remember from the opening crawl, Mandler was mentioned in that, and Mandler has been the overarching antagonist throughout this entire series. But again, this is Shadow Mandler. This is an imitation, not the actual guy. I mean, well, I guess you can't really call that a guy. It's a creature, let's just put it that way. And these boomerang-like projectiles, you really got to be careful with those because they can be very tricky to dodge, coupled with the other projectiles it's throwing out, because you can't destroy them. Vaikun number 5. Destroyed. And Terra saved. On to Mercury. We're not too far from the end now. And once again, got more boulders to deal with. So that kind of gives you the hint that this stage caters to drill ship. Similar to stage 3. Unlike stage 3 though, however, there are a lot more hazards and you got to do a lot more switching around. Now, situations like this with these colored hoops, now trying to rearrange your ships around to have red and yellow in the lead to get all those, fuck that shit. I mean, I'm sure somebody out there has been able to do that flawlessly, but not me. Because for me, when it comes to this game, especially playing on this difficulty, sure, I try to get color-coded things or deal with them the quote-unquote right way, but at the same time, I'm also just like, hey, I'm trying to survive, I'm trying to get through this game, so if I can get the hoop correctly, great. If I can't get it correctly, great. If I don't at all, great. Because again, I'm just trying to live. Now, when you have just one ship, you can perform a screw attack, which grants you invincibility for about a second. It does use up a little bit of the F gauge, though. I died. If I had the drill ship, I would be able to destroy these structures coming out. That death right there, I deserved that because I knew that those structures came out where I was, and I just put myself right there like an idiot. Thankfully, though, we got all 6 formations. This is a stage that you want to have them all on. I'll explain why later on, and you will see why later on. And I'm not sure if I mentioned this before. I'm sure I've already done it a few times, but every time when you're in a formation, of course, it always stops after a certain point, but if you want to cancel it out, you can do that whenever you want to. There are various times you will need to, depending on what's going on. This shutter right here would require the drill to open, but thankfully on the very left and right sides, those structures go in and out, so spacing yourself out right, timing it right, you can still get through it. But of course, it's much easier if you have drill on you. But if not, that's why those extra spots were there. I do like this song for the stage. And speaking of the music, fun little facts, the music in this game, the music in this game was done by none other than Yuzo Koshiro himself. Yeah, this stage, as you can clearly see, is the start of things getting horribly rough. Now, if you noticed before, you saw those two blue bulbs. Now, you would have thought, with me having the blue ship and shooting at them, they would have been destroyed. In some cases like those, you need that ship's actual weapon. Because every time when you're stuck... That was stupid. Every time when you're stuck with just one ship, you don't actually have access to their standard attack, you just shoot out these weak-ass bullets instead. So some stage elements and obstacles, if you want to destroy them, you must have its proper attack. Otherwise, those small bullets ain't gonna do shit. Oh, and looky here, once again, we got the Trimurti for the 4th time, but this time they're going in full power mode as the Trimurti Veta. And as I said before about the whole, oh, it's a good thing we have all 6 formations, this is primarily why. Because this battle is way more tolerable with the Phoenix formation in use. Without it, this battle is a bitch. So we can't use it anymore right now. We don't have enough F gauge. But we'll build it up some more. Damn. That attack is hard to telegraph. It's possible to do, but you just really have to look at it close before the lasers fully come out. By the way, these Vykuns that you have to destroy, if you take too long to destroy them, they will retaliate. See? Now, I probably could have destroyed that faster with the Giga Drill because I wasn't even aware of this when I initially played this for this run, or any time prior. But when the Giga Drill is active, you can actually mash the button to increase the power. I don't know how I forgot about that, but that's the thing. And here we are on the 7th and final stage, Sol. So, if you thought stage 6 was bad, you ain't seen nothing yet. And if anybody wants to play a drinking game called How Many Times Is 90 Gonna Die in This Stage, break out those shot glasses, because your ass is about to get drunk. This stage on hard mode is ridiculous. Again, the drills, you just gotta find that right opening and slip by, because you cannot neutralize them at all. So far, this stage is catering a lot to Unit 3. Damn. Except for those shutters, though. Those shutters, I've noticed, tend to be better opened with Unit 1 or Unit 2 as opposed to Unit 3. But with all these boulders and those other stone structures, those, of course, are best dealt with Unit 3. So this stage really forces you to rearrange your ships a lot and be good at it too. It's a classic example of, alright, time to utilize everything you've learned. And don't fuck it up. And here we have dark versions of the Wing Gallibur, which is one of the playable ships from the previous Cresta games, I believe specifically Terra Cresta. This mini-boss, honestly, is not terrible to deal with at all. At least with using formations. If you're not using formations, it can get a little overwhelming. But, yeah, that was not that bad. Alright, we're getting closer to the end. I would also like to take this time to mention how there is a difficulty beyond this called Platinum Hard. Platinum Games is known for doing that with their games. Now, of course, obviously, yes, the game is, just harder. The enemies will still shoot out bullets after they're destroyed. But I found out something the hard way when I did loop into Platinum Hard. So, I told you all about the formations. You can still use them in Platinum Hard. However, it's a use it and lose it type of situation. And I realized that because I started out with the Cyclone formation like I usually do. I used it. And then I found another moment where I wanted to use it again. And as I was drawing it out, I noticed that the line was red. And I thought I was losing my mind. I was just like, wait, did I not actually get this? Like, am I drunk right now? What's going on? Then I got another medal for it. And I'm like, okay, great, let me use it again. Then I tried to use it yet another time after that, and it still was going red. So I put 2 and 2 together and realized that yes, once you use a formation in Platinum Hard, it goes away, and you have to collect the medal again if you ever want to use it again. So that's one tragic thing about Platinum Hard. The other thing that's terrible is in regards to your soul gauge. When you lose a life, no matter where your soul gauge is filled up at, it automatically drops all the way back down to where it starts. And your F gauge also decreases when you die. But now, it's final boss time, and we have the true Mandler to deal with. This song specifically is taken from one of the previous games. Just as a reminder, Mandler has been the overarching antagonist of this franchise. He was apparently working behind the scenes in Moon Cresta, but starting in one of the Terra Cresta games, he appeared in full. But yeah, he wasn't that bad to deal with. By the way, remember those Vykuns I mentioned before? And why they're there? It's about that time I start to explain why. So here's God. But really, this is Sol Mandler, his true form. And he got this form because he had those Vykuns implanted on all the other planets to harvest their power and energy so that he could turn into this. Even though we destroyed them, they were on the planets long enough for him to get all the energy that he needed. So we still failed anyway, I guess. Naturally, with those shields being color-coded, you want to use the right weapon on those to quickly get rid of it. It may be possible that the shields still take damage from the other weapons. Obviously not enough, but I'm not entirely sure. All I know is, when I see red, I'm going to use the red laser. When I see blue, I'm going to use the blue missiles, and so forth. Here, though, we lost drill, but again, formation attacks, because they are the combined power of all three ships, it'll still work. And I gotta say, all things considered, with how chaotic this game is, especially on the hard difficulty, this actually isn't that hard of a final boss. It's difficult, and it's not a bad battle, but I don't find it impossible. Of course, it could be much worse on Platinum Hard. Don't say GG's yet, though. We ain't done. Got him. But of course, we're still not done quite yet. We've got an extra stage because we have to escape. At high speeds, of course. If you got drill active, you can destroy those boulders and just get yourself some extra coins if you want. Yeah, this last part is brutal. The good thing about this part, though, is that, because if you noticed, there's been a life counter at the bottom left of the main gameplay screen. However, during this section, your life count goes away. Because it seems like the developers were nice enough to acknowledge that they knew what they were doing. They knew how ridiculous this was going to be. So when you lose lives here, basically it's not possible to get a game over here. But you do get a score penalty for losing lives, which I clearly am doing very well at. But if you notice, that is the Trimurti right there. Because again, that is Luna's brother, and it's explained in the story mode. He defects from Mandalore and decides to help us out in the end. Mission complete. Now, it's truly GG's. Yeah, I lost 4 ships during that. Could be worse. I'm sure there's somebody out there who's managed to do that perfectly. But holy shit. Because I mean, it's definitely possible because it's always the same path every time. So the more you do it, the more you pay attention. Yeah, you can... I can definitely see it possible getting through that unscathed. It does get more treacherous though the higher difficulty that you're on, because there were some extra obstacles added in hard mode that are not present in normal mode. But yeah, y'all, that is Sol Cresta. For anyone who is a fan of shoot 'em ups, I highly recommend this one. I really do. Again, this is on Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, as well as Windows. I'm trying to remember how much I paid for this. I want to say it was definitely between 30 and 40 bucks, something like that. At this point, you might be able to get it for cheaper because it's been out now for right around 3 years. But yeah, this to me, again, I have not played any of the previous games, but knowing what I know about them and what I've seen, this is how you take an older franchise and breathe new life into it. Because the whole rearranging gimmick with the ships, I think, is really great and really fun to give yourself access to super moves basically at almost any time. And then having the command shots, like, you have a lot of options at your disposal, which is great. Because, you know, there's a lot of shoot 'em ups out there, a lot of bullet hells that don't really give, like, you'll have like one main shot, maybe three, and that's about it. But this game, though, it gives you many options and many different ways to deal with the situation at hand. And I just think it's really creative. Again, that's what I've come to expect from Platinum Games. But thank you all for watching. Thank you for having me, Emoji for July Skies. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see y'all later.